think it's recording, right? I just have to trust that it's recording. Okay, hi everybody out there. So we're going to do a little more talking today about writing. We've been writing. We're like a little writing factory in here. Winkler has its factories that are doing really well during COVID. We talked about that this morning. And this is one of those factories, okay? This is the writing factory. So today, you folks at home, you have a handout that's called What's Your Story? And the people in class today, I actually cut it up and only gave them a section of it because it's talking about different kinds of stories that we can write about ourselves that have a different theme. So we have, maybe just shout out what theme yours was. What kind of story did you get prompted to do some free writing about this morning? So there should be a little heading on there. Do you see it at the...
Yeah, story about someone important.
Yeah, so a story about someone important in your life. Actually, those are kind of fun to write because you can focus really on that person, right?
A story about a place in the world.
A story about a place, yes, a particular place that makes you feel something. Yeah.
Stories about what you do.
Stories about what you do. So it could be a job, it could be volunteer work, it could be just something you're passionate about, like transplanting plants for like 5 hours a day. Yeah. Joy, what was yours? You didn't have a chance to write about it, but what kind of story do you see on your table there? There should be a heading at the top that tells you what kind of story. Adventure stories, accomplishment stories, we had a story about a place in your life, discovery stories.
Maybe a place in my life.
A place in your life, okay. Anna, which one did you have?
Adventure stories.
An adventure story, yeah. So different types of stories. So I'm going to hand out this handout and we're just going to go through it together. So you'll see your story on there. Accomplishment stories, yeah. There you go. Look at that.
Is it okay when I don't write a story?
Oh, for sure. Yep. We'll just go through talking about it and then, yep. Okay, so those of you at home, if you want to follow along in this handout, and those of you in class, you will see when your story type comes about in here. So what's your story? I'm going to start reading here at the beginning if you'd like to follow along. So even though we tell stories every day at school, we told a lot this morning, over the dinner table and on the phone, being asked to write a story down on paper can feel, everybody together? Overwhelming! Do you guys agree?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Depends, right? Depends what kind of story, yeah. We may suddenly feel that what we have to say is not interesting or important enough to share. But a story doesn't have to be as dramatic as a Hollywood movie to be worth telling. Everyday life is full of valuable stories. Joe Lambert at the Center for Digital Storytelling identifies some common story types as well as some questions that may help us find the story we want to tell. So the first one could be a story about someone important in your life. So these stories may be about finding meaning in a relationship with a family member, friend, neighbor, coworker. The story may be a way to remember and honor someone who's passed away. It may be a story about romantic love. And then there's a series of questions to guide you through if this is the kind of story that you would like to write. So, Helena, you had this one. Did you find that those questions were helpful? So what's your relationship? How would you describe the person?
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Those questions were helpful.
Yeah.
Was there an event? So are you okay sharing with us? You don't have to share the writing, but just kind of what you wrote about or who you wrote about?
I wrote about my sister and
Yeah.
how the relationship is between us.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes it's very good and sometimes she drives me crazy.
Okay, good, because that's a question. What about the person drives you crazy, right? Yeah, so when you were thinking, so we're always thinking about tower, right? Thinking and organizing when we're thinking about writing. Were you thinking, this is something that I would write to my sisters, they're my audience? Or were you thinking of us, that you wanted to tell us about them? Or were you writing it as if you were writing to them?
I didn't write that I would write it actually to her.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Yeah, cool. just realized I might not even be in this video, but that's okay. Cool. So that's awesome. And you did some free writing with that.
Yes.
Great. All right. Adventure stories. These are stories about our travels and what we realized along the way. So what was challenging about the trip? What was the best part of the trip? How did the trip help you see your regular life in a new way? Anna, you had that one. Yeah. What do you think? Were you able to quickly think of a trip or?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a trip that we took in the 90s. We were actually on our way to Texas.
Yeah.
And we had just crossed the border. We're not that far from the border on the south side. And our air conditioner quit working.
Okay.
And yeah, and then we decided to stop in Grand Forks to see if a small branch could fix it or check into
Yeah.
it. Nobody had time till the next day, so we went to a Walmart Supercenter,
Yeah.
bought a kit and fixed it ourselves on the parking lot.
Nice.
So,
What did you learn from that story?
well,
You think, or that
well,
experience?
what we learned is we got our vehicle all checked up before we left, and we were only so little distance away from home, and then something broke down already.
So you learned not to trust that mechanic ever again?
No,
Okay.
what I'm saying is no matter how you think your vehicle is totally set, you won't have trouble.
You will. You still will.
You can.
And-
you can still.
Yeah, and if you wanted to relate that to real life,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how prepared you are in life to
Yeah.
do things. There's certain things that are out of your control,
Yeah, we
and
can-
you're gonna come up against obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then we went, maybe we drove like that the rest of the day yet, and then the next day all of a sudden it started smelling very strong like gas,
Okay.
We stopped again and checked, we could see no leaks, we couldn't see from why it smelled so strong.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it would quit. Oh, then we were happy, and then all of a sudden, now it does again, now it's even stronger, But we made our destination, and then we took it to a garage, so, yeah, I just think it's a learning thing, like,
Yeah.
no matter how, and the car had never done any
Mhm.
of this.
Yeah.
No matter how you get everything checked, so that you will be just riding smoothly.
Yep. Kind of
But,
like life, right?
But that's normal life.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun. You probably remember that trip better than any other because of what
Probably.
happened, right? Good. Excellent. So that's an adventure story. If we flip the page, we have accomplishment stories. So these are stories about achieving a goal, like getting a job or winning a sports game. Joy, you joined us a little late, and you had that one on your desk. Is there anything that comes to mind for you when you think of something you've accomplished? Any goals or anything where you did something and you're like, yes, I did it?
Well, I'm speaking English now.
There we go. Yeah. And didn't you, I think I remember you saying once that it had always been your goal to move to Canada.
Yes.
So there we go. That's a huge accomplishment, right? If that's something that you really wanted to do and you did, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think we're one page back there. If you turn this one right here. Yeah, the accomplishment stories. Yep, so that's another kind of story that people often would write about. The next one, stories about a place in your life. So these are stories about special places like a home, a town, a gathering place, a mountain, or a forest. These places can shape our values and our sense of community. So Susie, I noticed you didn't have that one at first, and you went around and you went and picked that one. So you must have a special place in mind. What's that place for
I
you?
actually do too.
Okay.
Yeah. Two places that I got really attached to.
Okay.
One is the one that I grew up having in Mexico. Whenever we went to Mexico, we lived there.
Yeah.
And the other one is here in Cortez.
Okay.
We
Like a
lived there
house?
for 4 years. and
Okay.
I really got attached to that place as well.
Okay. So what do you think it was that made you attached to that place?
I honestly can't really say. I feel like because my parents bought that house, I felt like I was gonna be home there for a while,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I really liked the yard. Working on the yard was fun,
Okay.
and yeah, but
Yeah.
mostly like the place in Mexico is that I miss the most because, well, there on Saturdays when we were done cleaning, we had all the windows open, and Dad took his accordion.
Yeah. Yeah.
and Maria her guitar, and me with the keyboard and a
Harmonica?
harmonica.
Yeah.
And we would just play
Wow.
all the songs. Yeah.
You guys, would you come and play for us when Maria comes back?
I know.
Seriously, we used to, Anna, do you remember? We used to have people, some that did guitar, some that did this, and then once a month we had a big sing-along, and they would play guitar, and we would all sing. Oh, it was so good.
Would be fun.
Yeah, Anna, didn't you play something in
I
instrument?
didn't play, but
you were
I did
singing.
help sing along.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I read something in a novel yesterday that said, home is not a place, it's a feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when you describe that house in Mexico, yes, it's the house, but it's more. It's what you experienced in that house by doing those things with your family that made it home, right? Wow, fascinating. I'm excited. I got a little goosebumps on that one. Alrighty.
So what do you all play?
I don't play anymore. I gave up.
Oh, don't.
Susie, get back into
No,
it.
You don't ever give up on
Yeah.
music.
I mean, if I wouldn't have to practice long until I would get it back.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was never good with the key changing on the keyboard. It was hard for me to learn. I didn't get lessons. I was
Yeah.
just self-taught. And I just kind of gave up on it, and then Maria started picking up on it, and now Maria can play basically anything she wants to.
Wow. Well, wait till she gets back. She's going to be
Yeah.
playing and we're going to be singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So that was a good one for you.
Yeah.
And another person I noticed in class went and chose a different card that was on there than what was on their table too, and that's so awesome. And it was this next one, stories about what you do. So if you flip your page, and a great way to brainstorm or to get ready for writing is to ask yourself questions like this, because when you have questions, then you need to answer them, right? So, Natty, stories about what you do, what's your job or hobby, experiences that prepared you for this, what influenced you, what led you to this, all that kind of stuff.
I'm parenting my children.
Okay,
And
that's a very important job.
I
Yeah.
think some of the experiences that prepared me for it was when I was younger, I was took care of my siblings, and
Yeah.
then I worked with children in my teenage years sometimes. But the best thing was Family First. There was a lady, her name was Debbie Much,
Okay.
and she came and taught me a lot about children behavior and
Yeah.
empathy and all these things.
Yeah.
And they helped me very much to
Wow.
become a better mother.
Uh-huh.
And if there was an event that led me toward this, well, I always loved children. When my husband and I got married, we wanted to adopt children,
Uh-huh.
but the only way we could qualify is if we could prove that we could have our own children.
Okay.
And so we decided to have our own children.
Yeah.
And it has affected my life in many different ways. It's been really hard because I'm quite strong-headed. I don't ask for help very easily.
Really? I hadn't
And-
noticed that.
And it was really hard because I didn't have anyone around me to help me.
Uh-huh.
I offered help.
Yeah.
My husband was working lots of hours, so there was times when I broke down. I just couldn't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
But it's made me stronger, and it has helped me develop many ways to raise my children to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. It sounds like those questions probably really helped, right?
Yeah.
For everybody else too who did a bit of free writing with this, it's helpful, right? Having those questions to kind of guide you. Thank you so much. It sounds like you have a piece written there already. That's excellent. And good for you for recognizing parenting as a job. It's a job, right? It's a very important job. Sometimes you'll hear people say, "Oh, what do you do?" And then you'll hear a stay-at-home mom say, "Oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom." They'll say just. Take that out of there. That is a huge job. Yeah.
Well, the lady I take care of, she's
Yeah.
like 101,
Yeah.
almost 102. She told me a while back, she asked me also, like, do you have a career? And I said, no. And then I just explained her what I all did and whatever. She says, that is, you have more than one career, she says.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to cook and how to handle a house
Yeah.
and children, that's a career by itself. It's just you never went to school for it particularly, but she says there is people that go in for training because they have no idea.
Right. And it's also what a society, what the world around us values as a career, right?
Right.
So we value, or we put value on big, expensive, luxurious things.
Right.
And in order to get those things, you need a really high-paying job in an office or something, whatever. So we put all kinds of value on that instead of valuing like all the hard work that each person, normal, everyday person is doing, right? Yeah. Thanks, Anna.
But she says, you
Yeah,
know what, you
thanks
have
for
no
sharing
idea
that.
how many people don't cook.
Yeah.
They have to take courses, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay then.
She's a wise woman.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is discovery stories. So these are stories about learning. They may be about a first, an embarrassing moment, or a mistake. So what was the event, and where and when did it happen? If we flip the page, who did you experience the event with? What moments stand out for you? How did you feel during the event? What did it teach you? How did the event change your life? So nobody had this one. I think it's sitting there on a table. But does anyone off the tip of their tongue or the tip of their brain and heart have something in mind that stands out about a very memorable, embarrassing, or life-changing event that happened to you?
I baked chocolate rolls yesterday and I didn't put any salt in them.
Okay, and that was embarrassing for you. Yeah.
I was really mad. No, it was a mistake.
Yeah. Totally. When I moved to Africa, I didn't know how to hang my clothes on the line or go to the bathroom. So I was living in a village, and the first time I did my wash all by hand, I hung my underwear on the line, my panties. And my family I was living with a family in the village. They were so embarrassed. Everyone walked by our house and saw the white person's underwear on the thing. So they always got their host daughter, dependent, to tell me things I was doing wrong. She's like, Friesen, because they call you your last name, out of respect, Friesen. Don't put those things on the wash line. I'm like, oh, okay. The other thing was the bathroom. It was like a outhouse, but it didn't have the seat, just a hole in the ground. So I didn't know how. Do you sit like right on the hole, put a cheek on each side, or do you just crouch over the hole? Like, what do you do? So I wrote about this in my journal, and my sister, who I was sharing a room with, read my journal, and she said, Friesen, should I teach you how to go to the bathroom? These are hugely embarrassing moments in my life, okay? They're hugely embarrassing, but they would make a very fun story to write about. Because I learned that I thought I was going to Africa to help people. No. Those people helped me to learn a whole new world that I had no clue about. I thought I was there to help, but no. I was there to learn a whole bunch of stuff, right, Joy? So anyways, those are some kind of funny things. But let's take a look at the little box now. So all of this that we're doing is the TO in the writing process. It's the thinking and the organizing when we start thinking and organizing our thoughts. So with all of these possibilities, finding the right story to tell can be difficult, right? Because there's so many possibilities. Lambert recommends the following activities to help you get started. Choose a story type from the list above. Write whatever comes to mind on the topic for 10 minutes without starting. Give yourselves a check mark, because you guys just did that one when you came in this morning. Give yourself a check mark. You tried that. How does that work for you guys? Do you like that free writing method? Those of you at home, if you tried doing some free writing, is that a good way for you to get started? Yeah, it works. Give yourself a check mark. Next one, choose a story type from the list above. Record yourself as you answer the list of questions for that story type. Then listen to your recording and write down what you said. Interesting. So we kind of did that right now, right? Because I'm recording this. So if you wanted to later, I'm going to post it in our group. You could go and listen and say, what did I all tell Jamie about that topic? And make notes. Or maybe you want to write about my embarrassing topic and what did Jamie all say about that? Do you guys think this one would work for you? If you made a bunch of questions for yourself and then pressed record on your phone and listened to yourself answering them, maybe to someone else, and then wrote down, would that be helpful?
I'm sure it would help.
Yeah, do you think it would help you, Anna? Anybody else think they would try this one? No? Yes, no, maybe so?
Give it a try.
Give it a try, yeah. The next one, choose a story type from the list above. Have someone ask you the questions for the topic and record your conversation. Listen to it and write down what you said. Right? Draw a map of the neighborhood you grew up in. Include the layout of the streets as well as where friends lived, friendly or strange neighbors, store, school, and so on. What events did this process remind you of? That one's pretty powerful. I think if I started drawing a map of where I grew up as a child, I would start remembering all kinds of things, right? When we're little, that world, we know that world by our feet and in certain ways. So that could be powerful. Next one, look around your house for images that are meaningful to you. Do any images relate to each other? What memories link those images together? Do you guys have a lot of stuff hanging up on your walls, or a lot of things on shelves or in china cabinets? Do you have things up in your house or around you?
I have a little bit, not much.
Not much. Okay, Susie?
I haven't put anything back up since I painted.
Okay. Maddie?
We used to, but not as much anymore.
Okay. Joy? Nothing up. Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, but
Yeah.
I don't like having stuff down like tons of
Right.
ornaments or whatever.
Too cluttered.
Yeah, I don't
Good
have
Mennonite
time.
woman.
I don't have
Just
time
kidding.
for dusting.
Yeah,
My
no, I
house
hear
is
you.
always dusty.
I hear you. Okay, so does anybody, here we go, here's a question. Does anybody have a box, a treasure box, or a box of memories that they've kept? Yeah, I see lots of. What would happen if you opened that box and grabbed one item? Obviously, you've kept it for a reason. And you said to yourself, why have I kept this item all these years? What does this remind me of? What does this say about me, about the people in my life? Yeah.
Just the memory.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole box of a lot of things that would maybe almost be garbage, but I keep it because of a memory.
Okay, yep. Awesome. So then you could write about that memory that's attached to that object, right? Yeah. So we have two options now. We can go on, okay, let's finish reading this underneath the box, first of all. There is a seed of a story somewhere in the thoughts generated by these exercises. The key is to start with a small idea. Play with that small idea as though it's a block of clay. Keep sculpting the details of your idea, looking at it from different angles, until it starts to take on the rough shape of the story you want to tell. Flip that over. Revisiting memories can remind us of difficult periods in our lives. Since school is a learning space rather than a therapeutic space, so we're not group therapy here, even though I joke that I think we kind of are sometimes, it is important to avoid traveling into emotions that you can't return from. So choose topics that you feel comfortable and natural discussing. Listen to your gut. It will tell you if you are heading towards feelings that are best explored with a trusted friend or counselor. So this is really important. I think sometimes I probe you guys in certain areas. For example, the one writing a map of your place as a child. If you had traumatic experiences in those places, writing that map would not be a good experience for you. So always listen to your gut. Even if I put something on your table that would bring up very traumatic things for you that you don't want to discuss with friends here, always keep that in mind. There's no pressure to do that ever at all. That's not what this space is about. If it feels like a good place to go to with certain people, then trust that feeling. But if not, then that's your feeling that you don't need to discuss. So, digital story spotlight. So we're going to look at a couple of storytelling experiences digitally on here. And the first one is this one. In 2012, 20 youth in the Native Youth Enrichment Program at the University of Washington participated in a digital storytelling workshop. Tate, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Black Bear, a Lakota teenager, was one of the participants. The American and Canadian governments tried to erase Aboriginal languages and cultures over 100 years, so the Lakota have had to work very hard to keep their language alive. There are about 6,000 people who can speak the Lakota language. Tate knew 6 words in his traditional language. As you watch, think about what category his story falls into. So we all have these categories in here. So as we're watching it, we'll think where would it fit, and then think about the reasons behind your decision. Why would it go into that category? Okay, so we're gonna watch Tate's story, and then we're gonna watch a story from Canada as well. We'll start with this one. And you folks online, I think maybe, do you think they'll be able to see this video through the camera, or is it better if I just post the links to these stories? The links, yeah. I'm just going to post the links on the wise advice of your classmates. Goodbye.